Okay.
Then with the meditation this morning, to start once more, focusing on the breath, and then the meditation, main part of the meditation will be based on 3 of the verses of the text, verses 31, 32, 33 of the chapter. So then sitting in a comfortable. So we've got an echo. Oh, okay.
Look at the recording. Okay.
Okay. All right. Good. Thank you. Okay. So then, preparing oneself for the meditation session, to sit comfortably and to cultivate positive motivation. That from engaging in this meditation session together today, may it be a way of preparing our mind for Geshe-la's teaching today, and also for deepening our understanding of this text, Bodhisattva's way of life. So, in order to focus the mind and to bring the mind into the present moment, to spend some time settling the mind by observing the breath. And if you already have a method that you use, then to use that. Otherwise, one method is the one that I've previously presented, to observe the breath as it flows in through the nostrils and passes back out through the nostrils. And as best as possible, to be aware of the sensation of the air passing in and passing out. And try to continually bring the mind back to the experience, the awareness of the air passing in and passing out. And as the different distractions arise, which they will do, just to note these, whether they be thoughts in the form of memories or plans for the future, other disturbing thoughts, or sounds, both inside, wherever you are, the building you're inside or outside, to be aware of the arisal of these, just to note them, not to get caught up in the story, and to bring the mind back once more to the breath. So then, continuing in this way, as best as possible, to maintain the focus on the inflow and outflow of the breath, the sensation of the air passing in and passing out. Just to try to keep the mind focused there during this part of the meditation session. So if there's quite a lot of mental activity taking place, quite a lot of agitation in the mind, and this can occur, of course, because of many things. It can be things that people may have said to us this morning, or memories of things that have arisen that stimulate disturbance in the mind. And sometimes this can be quite overwhelming and make it very difficult to focus the mind. Like as an analogy, like being in a small boat out in the ocean, and the waves are very turbulent. So if you're in that small boat, all you can be thinking about at that time is your survival as each of the waves crashes against the boat. And so it can be like that in our mind when our mind is very disturbed. We're doing everything we possibly can to fight off these disturbing thoughts. We have that state of mind of like being caught in the middle of the ocean in a small boat. But if you change the perspective and imagine that it's early morning time and the sky is very, very clear, and you're taking off in a jet airliner, and the air is very stable as well, and you ascend into the sky, and as the plane climbs, there's this sense of spaciousness. The sky is clear of clouds in all directions. And the plane seems to move effortlessly through the sky. There's no turbulence. And so just getting a sense of that awareness, you could even imagine if you're in the cockpit of the plane, sense of spaciousness in all directions. No clouds or anything. And just try to get a sense of that sense of clarity. And you can look down and you can see the boat. And you can see the turbulence. But from this vantage point, the mind is not feeling threatened at all. There's just a sense of spaciousness, clarity of the mind. So then Just to bring this clarity of mind into the main body of the meditation session. And I'll read these verses from the text from Bodhisattva's Way of Life. Verses 31, 32, 33. If whoever reciprocates benefit is worthy of some praise, then what need to mention the Bodhisattva who does good without its being asked of him? The world honours as virtuous a man who procures mediocre food for an instant, gives it disrespectfully to a small number of beings. That satisfies them for only a day. What need be said then of one who constantly bestows the unsurpassed bliss of the Sagatas for a long time upon countless sentient beings, fulfilling all their hopes? And when Geshe Sutram was teaching on this, I think it was on Tuesday, he made mention of how it is the idea that bodhisattvas work tirelessly one life after another to benefit others, not just for one life, but for so many lives work for the benefit of others. This is the bodhisattva's mind. Thupten Dundrup, who's a senior monk in our tradition, ordained 40 years plus, previously one of Lama Zopa's attendant to Lama Zopa before Raja Kunsang, and now currently the resident teacher at Buddha House in Adelaide. Then I remember him saying one time that in Australia it doesn't take very much at all for someone to become a hero. And then I guess a little bit more than that and you become an icon. Perhaps all you have to do is to win an important football match. And then you become an icon, then maybe you win the grand final. But the word hero is pushed around so much, is used so much to refer to people who perform acts that really are insignificant in comparison to the acts of bodhisattvas. And people in the West, in Australia, maybe elsewhere also as well, can be awarded medals for bravery. And then they become revered, can be for decades, for many years to come, because this person performed this act of heroism so many years ago. Labeled the hero, and yet no one really actually knew what the motivation of this person was when they performed that act. It might not have even been a virtuous motivation, but they were labeled a hero and awarded a medal. And in fact, that same person on that day that performed that act of heroism did it on the basis of an angry mind. They saw an injustice, anger arose, and they went about rectifying that wrong. But actually, if you look at it, how it was just that day that state of mind arose. The previous day or the day after, the mind of cowardice could have easily arisen. just depended upon the state of mind at the time, the fickle state of mind, and the act is performed, and then that person becomes a hero. Someone to venerate. But when we're talking here about bodhisattvas, or these bodhisattvas who are genuinely heroes, heroic beings, these are beings who are totally dedicated to achieve the objective of complete enlightenment, the state of the development of wisdom and compassion to its fullest extent. Total development, complete perfection of wisdom and compassion, in order to accomplish the benefit of all sentient beings. Has this sense of vastness directed towards every single sentient being. Doesn't matter who those beings are, whether they've helped or harmed, makes no difference. Harmed them still does not abandon them. Totally driven by wisdom and compassion to remove all beings without exception from suffering. And then committed to do this for as long as samsara exists. This is the mind of the Bodhisattva, courageous mind of the Bodhisattva. And if we look at the past lives of Buddha Shakyamuni, as described in the Jataka tales, and the Buddha Shakyamuni, sacrificed himself countless numbers of times in order to accomplish the state of enlightenment, in order to remove all beings from suffering. So maybe we're familiar with some of those stories, the past lives of the Buddha in the Jataka tales. Like the time born a prince and then coming across a tigress, hungry tigress, who is about to die, who is also about to kill her own cubs and eat them to survive. Then he sacrifices his life, gives his body to her to save her life and to prevent her from killing her own babies. Or in another Jataka tale where he's born, the king of monkeys. And when his tribe of monkeys, the tribe he looks after, cares for, is about to be killed, by the soldiers of a human king, he allows the monkeys to use his body as a bridge. His body physically becomes a bridge for them to escape from the top of the tree. He stretches his body across to a clump of bamboo, and they use his body as a bridge to escape in panic. And in the process, he sacrifices his life. His body is destroyed by their running across his body. And then those stories, but then other stories where he sacrificed his life, committed his life for the welfare of others. In order to attain the state of enlightenment and then to bring the teachings, the cycle of teachings in the world. And then Buddha Shakyamuni, in the life he was born as Prince Siddhartha, the life in which he manifested that in his own enlightenment, then according to Mahayana Buddhism, Prince Siddhartha was already enlightened before he came into this world, and everything he did was the activity of an enlightened being, giving guidance to others about how to conduct one's life as a spiritual practitioner. So then born the prince, surrounded by all sorts of comforts. And also as well, even though he had a kind heart and wanted to benefit for his people, he came to the conclusion after he saw sickness, aging and death, that the most important thing is internal development. So he abandoned the kingdom, abandoned his own family like this, made a decision, although he knew he could benefit many people as king, but decided the best way is to transform the mind, and whatever is necessary on the Bodhisattva path, the message is there. The Bodhisattva dedicates themselves for the welfare of others, no matter what. Dedicates themselves towards attaining the state of perfect, complete enlightenment, perfect state, in order to remove all beings from suffering. And in so doing, also the communication to us, if we tune in to the teachings, our understanding of human beings and beings in general, from this point of view, is that they all have Buddha nature. All beings have Buddha nature, have the capacity to attain the state of enlightenment. And within this Mahayana Buddhist understanding, we hold the view that there are beings, that countless numbers of beings who have attained the state of enlightenment, and countless numbers of beings who are bodhisattvas, constantly manifesting, totally dedicated to our welfare. So not only are they heroes, but it's not a historical hero and past. This is what happened so many years ago. This person did this. But it's something that's omnipresent. Bodhisattvas are working for us right here at this point of time. And so creating this incredible positive vision for our life. And we have the experience too. Our mind, the more it opens up to this, then we have the experience of knowing that His Holiness the Dalai Lama, at least a highly realized Bodhisattva, perhaps a Buddha, and he comes into this world not due to the power of compassion, not due to the power of karma and affliction, rather, comes into this world due to the power of compassion and prayer. Totally dedicated towards our well-being. A kind of mind that is saying that if it would be of benefit to beings, willingly he would take rebirth in the hell realms. And Lama Zopa Rinpoche, dedicated to others' welfare, even though manifested a stroke and was disabled by that, what followed after that was no change in his attitude, no self-pity, totally dedicated, focused on each person he met, on their welfare. When he taught, it was again the same thing about others' welfare, no change. The mind stabilized by bodhicitta. So then we have good fortune to be able to receive the teachings on this text, the Bodhisattva's Way of Life, in order to deepen our understanding of the Bodhisattva's path, so that we ourselves can engage in those practices based on the inspiration of these holy, courageous beings, so that our life can become more and more meaningful for ourselves and for others. Okay, so thank you.